So that makes him fun to work with, and it makes rehearsals really productive. And like after every rehearsal, you really feel like, well, this is better than it was at the beginning of the rehearsal because we really understand what he's going for, and we really understand the sounds and how they fit together. And he's just like, he's great. He's really precise and he's really insistent, and like everything a performer wants out of a composer. So that's cool. I think, you know, about this piece itself, you know, I don't know actually what he said to you about it, but I think that what I find really striking about it is, you know, and you don't really get this sense necessarily that he thinks this way when you talk to him. But when I read his program note, I was struck by one thing that he wrote. I don't want to misquote him, so let me read what he said. He said, Graphein incorporates the problems that have haunted me until now: the disorientation of timbre and movement, its consequences on energy, loss of control in the interpretation. Music thought not as demonstration of skills, but as a search for transcendence. Right, so I think that last thing is really important. It is strikingly naive in a way. Music thought not as a demonstration of skills, but as a search for transcendence. So this thing about music thought not as a demonstration of skills, but as a search for transcendence. So to me, like almost no one who is composing today would say anything like that. I think that's like that's almost a strikingly naive sentiment. It's almost like a 19th century romantic kind of sentiment. It's the sort of thing that, like, even if someone thinks that, mostly they're not going to admit that. You know, music in the 19th century was very explicitly always trying to transcend everything, and I think, you know, throughout the 20th century and all the awful stuff that happened in the 20th century, people realized that project was hopelessly naive and flawed. And so what I find interesting about Raphael sort of explicitly invoking this notion of music as the search for transcendence is that he, in a way, he composes that into the music. So the sounds that he makes the players make are so intense and so sort of always on the edge of control that it feels, when you're conducting it or when you're listening to it, like what you're watching is 10 people in the act of searching for transcendence. The music isn't trying to take you there. What he's done is he's put the musicians in positions such that they're trying to do that, and you're watching them try to do that. And that experience, I think, is super, super intense. whether the piece transcends anything or whether that concept even makes sense, I don't know. But the idea that he's composed this action into the music, I find really striking and, I don't know, kind of moving.
I am Raphael Cendo.
Hey.
I write really loud music.
Can you tell us about saturation then, Raphael?
Well, saturation, you tell me about it. I just write notes on the page and they make lots of noise. I don't know how my own piece
Why do they sound so,
Oh, Raphael Cendo.
I was just interviewing Raphael Cendo here.
Oh, fake Raphael
You look at me a little bit now.
Got the style.
Yeah, the here, the air,
Yeah.
verb.
Yeah.
Are you an hipster? Are you a sort of hipster?
Do I look like an hipster?
For sure, yeah.
Oh.
Man, come on.
Then I'm doing it wrong.
What's saturation?
What's saturation?
Yeah.
Is try to go over the limits, in all the time, for the instrumentists, for the multiphonic, for everything. It's always all over. And it's like Jackson Pollock, there's a dripping, it's a lot of gesture, a lot of color, but in the same movement and the same energy.
Great. Can you tell? Can you tell us what is your piece that we're playing tomorrow?
What?
What piece are we playing tomorrow of yours?
Tomorrow, you play Graphein.
Yeah. What is that?
It's a strange piece. I met here last year for all of you, Dal Niente,
Yeah.
and Michael, and when I met Ryan and Michael and 2 years ago in Darmstadt, they wanted a piece from me. I said, okay, no problem, let's go.
Yeah.
So we imagine the context, we imagine also the musicians, and when I speak with Ryan and with Michael, we said, okay, make the piece very loud and blah 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 blah. I said, okay. So I try to do my best for that. But the change, many changing in the piece, sometimes very quiet, sometimes very, very strong. But yes, the energy is very important in this piece, and all of you play very, very, very well.
Oh, thank you. Is there anything new that you can articulate that you're trying out with this piece, or just some new ideas, or?
Yeah, it's not really new ideas, but my piece before was always just one way, so pianissimo or fortissimo, and here I try to, and fast or slow, and here I try to make some work on the elasticity of time and of the material, but very in a complex way with very strange transition, not as a cut, really with a big transition. So this is really the new things in this piece. It's really the elasticity of time, of the material, and of the color also. Just sometimes I can stretch the time and it's very slow, and suddenly I make a big down and then big ground and make something very, very, very speed. It's always a game between this all application with elasticity.
For him, what do you think he appreciates about working with Dal Niente? So what do we offer as interpreters and sort of just artistic collaborators?
I think the thing that the Dal Niente musicians are really good at is really meeting the composer halfway or more than halfway. Like, it's really a group of people that are trying to figure out what he's going for and are going to try their best to do it all the time. Which is to say that there are plenty of musicians in the world, plenty of instrumentalists in the world that are like, you want me to do what with my instrument? I'm not going to do that with my instrument, so think of something else. Like, Dal Niente musicians are really, accommodating in the best sense of the word. They really are accommodating and searching. It's like everyone in the room is working real hard to figure out exactly what kind of sound the composer wants and how it fits in with everything else. And then eventually, of course, the musicians will make their own judgments about that as well. But certainly in the initial stages of the process, Dal Niente musicians are about as open-minded and positive attituded and really always trying to do a good job as any musicians like anywhere in the world. So I bet that's what he appreciates. And also I think we're kind of like, we don't take ourselves real seriously, and he's kind of that way too. So I think there's a good like personality fit.